Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. A frustrated Joseph Parker has left New Zealand bound for Las Vegas for a training camp ahead of a potential fight with Derek Chisora in late October. And I say potential because that one has not been sewn up yet, hasn't been made, and Joseph Parker and his camp feel they're being made to wait. So there is a story here from stuff.co.nz. I'll just go through some of the main talking points and then on to a few thoughts, because it's not for the first time that Parker and his camp have felt a little bit dicked around by David Haye and Derek Chisora, that side of the camp, because this was a fight that was meant to have happened in April, but Parker ultimately pulled out because he didn't get a contract in time to sign for the fight, felt that he wasn't being given enough time for a training camp. And I'm sure they're potentially feeling a little bit the same now, but obviously, unlike last time where they pulled out altogether, didn't start training camp, they've gone ahead now. They're going to have a 9-week camp in Las Vegas. The reported date for that fight, if it is in fact made, is October the 26th. In the UK, that is. So this story says Joseph Parker finally left Auckland on Monday night, vowing to take his frustrations out on British heavyweight Derek Chisora. A fight that has almost been a year in the making is all but set to happen on October 26 in London, with Parker's manager David Higgins receiving a belated offer from British promoter Eddie Hearn. An April clash was turned down by former WBO champion Parker because he felt he didn't have sufficient time. Oh, I've just gone through all that. Parker, 26-2, will have 9 weeks to tune up for Chisora 31-9 record, heading straight into camp in Las Vegas with trainer Kevin Barry. So this is Parker here. It's nearly there, but the last 4 or 5 weeks it's been very hard to communicate with them. We are going into camp a little bit blind. I'm not so much angry, just frustrated that it's taken so long. I just want to punch Chisora in the face. He's been calling me a chicken. To be honest, as an old dog, he has more experience than me, but he has more losses than me. I want to knock him out. That's what I want to do. And they've got David Higgins here also voicing his frustrations. It's getting pretty tight. It's been like extracting teeth from our new promoter, Eddie Hearn. They also want Joseph to be the B-side, as in Chisora v Parker, rather than Parker v Chisora, while Joe clearly has a better record than Chisora. They might think it gives them a mental edge, but it doesn't. And then later in the story, David Higgins says if he gets a win over Chisora, he says, we'll get the job done and we'll be in pole position to call out the winner of Joshua and Ruiz. In fact, we could even probably still fight on that card if we get a good result. Well, just on that, I'm just going to jump in there, call out the winner of Joshua and Ruiz. The winner of that fight is going to have mandatories coming out their ears. It's completely unrealistic to think Joseph Parker is in the running to fight either one of those guys. And then just further down here, says Parker's going to have his family in camp with him, or not in camp, but they'll be in Las Vegas for the first time. He felt it was important to see his young children daily, and it would benefit his mental state for the camp. And then it talks about his shape. I've kept busy. I reckon I'll enter camp in my best condition. And if you do follow Joseph Parker on social media, you'll notice he's kept rather trim and fit, even though he hasn't had a fight sort of booked in, obviously knowing that this one was probably coming down the pipe. But he has more recently, especially ahead of that Leopai fight, said that he wanted to come into his training camps not to lose weight, but to sharpen his tools and work on technique and fight plans and all that sort of associated stuff with a fight, as opposed to just trying to get fit. There's the old saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And Parker certainly does look like he has been keeping himself in better condition, which is good for a big fight like this where he needs to rebound and have a good performance. But getting back to some of this other stuff regarding the sort of slowness of getting a deal done, it's taken 4 or 5 weeks to get any real sort of traction from what David Higgins is saying. I mean, does this surprise me? Not really. I mean, they've had the first time around. To me, it has the fingerprints of David Haye all over it. Just like the first time, because Haye was working with Chisora then. He was a recent addition to the camp. They were obviously trying to whittle down Joseph Parker's training time to give themselves an advantage. And at the time, they lied about it and said they weren't trying to do that Chisora hadn't been in camp, but then Dave Coldwell confirmed they'd been in camp for a couple of weeks. I think some of these tactics, we have seen them before, and they're maybe a bit cheap, maybe a bit nasty, but I guess this is heavyweight boxing and prize fighting where millions of dollars can be on the line. If you win a fight, you can go on to something much bigger and better. And the winner of this fight between Parker and Chisora, should it get made, and it looks like it will, it's just a matter of time, the winner of this will step into something a bit better and a bit bigger for a bigger payday. And obviously it's prize fighting after all, and this is what they do it for. And if Chisora, knowing that Joseph Parker is the younger fighter, potentially the guy that's more in his prime, that can give him a few fits in the ring through some of the things he can do, if he can make him feel a bit off kilter, throw him off his game, and at least sort of try to get under his skin, well, that could be a benefit for him in the fight. So I can totally see and understand why they would want to make these guys sweat on the contract and other bits and pieces. And I think you can see it has had an effect. Joseph Parker says he is not so much angry, just frustrated that it's taken so long. I want to punch Chisora in the face. He's been calling me a chick. I mean, all this sort of stuff culminates into Derek Chisora is in Joseph Parker's head, rent-free right now. He is having an effect on Joseph Parker, and even in some of these statements, he's making Parker react to what's happening. So I actually think Chisora is doing exactly what he should be doing. I don't think there's any doubt this fight won't get made. I think the first time, back in April or before then, when the contract didn't get made, didn't get over the line, I think that was David Higgins really sort of playing chicken. And David Haye and Derek Chisora didn't expect that Joseph Parker and his team with David Higgins would actually pull out. I think they thought that they would be able to crib and run it down as much as possible, but the fight would still get made. But they ran into an obstacle there with Higgins going, thanks, but no thanks. We need our time. We've got to do what we have to do. And if you've run this down so much, it's your own fault. So I think this time, Parker and his team, they know. They've seen it before. They know what's happening. So they're going into camp now. They're fully confident that the fight is going to happen, that whatever happens with the contracts is going to get squared away. It's just that they've been sort of mucked around in the last number of weeks, and I don't think that's any surprise. But I think this fight gets done, and I think Joseph Parker will end up fighting Derek Chisora on October the 26th. I think it's a little bit optimistic to think Parker, coming off a fight with Derek Chisora, should he win it, would be able to be ready for December. I think that turnaround's probably a little bit tight, and especially if it is a bruising fight. I could imagine that Derek Chisora is going to push Joseph Parker quite hard in this fight. I think October the 26th, and you turn that around for December the 7th, that's only, 5 or 6 weeks? Sure, everyone who's a name within boxing and is associated with the Matchroom stable will want to get on the rematch card with Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua, but I can't see Parker being part of that. I think that's just, a pipe dream for David Higgins. It's not going to come true. But I do think that Joseph Parker can go in with confidence against Derek Chisora, that he is the man to beat there. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I fully expect Joseph Parker wins a fight against Derek Chisora. I think they will stick to their knitting in some respect, get Parker on his bike a little bit, sort of using and utilizing movement as we saw earlier in his career, where he can actually be quite good at that. When he sort of fought Dillian White's fight, went into White's wheelhouse, he came off second best. So why would he want to be in the pocket trading with Chisora when he's actually not a great inside fighter? Parker sort of is quite comfortable from the mid-range to, being the outboxer, circling the ring, whipping jabs in a right hand. I don't see him being the guy sort of doing some of what he did against Alex Leapai. I don't necessarily see that working against Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora will eat some of that stuff all day, but still be throwing back. And that's when Joseph Parker might be in trouble if he decides to fight Derek Chisora's fight. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I expect this fight to get made, and maybe the frustration will be good for Joseph Parker in terms of motivation in camp. He'll have his family in Las Vegas. That'll be good for him. Obviously, he's felt, I don't want to say lonely, but obviously he's missed his family in the past, and he wants to have them close to him ahead of this fight, which is a pivotal fight for Parker, but also for Chisora. What do you make of it? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.